Hey, this is Benedict, and I'm going to go through the sound design I've done for a little competition from Native Instruments and Marshall Mcgee on metapop.com. So, first of all, let's have a look at what I've done. Alright, cool. So the animation is done by Artworks, a guy on Instagram, you can find him, and I'll link his stuff in the description. Let's just go from the top. So, if we ever listen to the whole audio folder, not very helpfully named. So this is the majority of the fiery stuff. Most of these fire samples came from Soundly. Let's have a listen to this first one. Now what I've done to give it a bit of a Dopplerish kind of effect and to make it longer, I've placed some stretch markers around here. So the pitch will start a bit lower than it should. It will rise, and then it will slow down again, and the pitch will drop. And then, because of all the distortion I've got going on here, it's a very compressed signal. It's just devil or decapitator. It's all the distortion stuff, I think, in Effect Rack, doing a little bit of stuff to make it a bit more crackly and grisly. And then I've got a final volume envelope going on here, because with all the compression going on from the distortion, this fade-in doesn't do that much to the actual overall volume of the item. Cool, let's have a look at these ones. More fiery sounds. There's a lot of distortion going on here again. It's quite high up on the drive. And then I've got this guy, just bringing out a bit more of the body of each sound. If I were to get rid of it, it's more dynamic, which I didn't actually want right now. You see how it goes kind of silent in the middle. That's what I want. Cool. These next two, I try to accentuate the whooshes and the kind of lead-in sounds with the same old stretch marker trick. Alright, there's not much going on with these. I suppose some more distortion, and Pro and B just taming the high end a little bit. Cool. Whistle and breath. This is me making some sounds into the mic. The first one is me just going, trying to get a little bit of that fireworky kind of sound effect. And breath, this is just me doing this is for a magical kind of element to it. I went and processed it a lot. Let's check out whistle first. So all I'm doing with this one is pitch shifting it with Little Altar Boy. And then with the breath, I've got this filtering out some of the low stuff. Supermassive, just trying to thicken up the sound a little bit. And I decided to put this reverb on at the beginning of the chain so that everything else, the thicken up sound, will get all the processing as well. I've got Little Altar Boy pitch shifting down 7 semitones and then up 7 semitones. To be frank, I'm not sure why I did this, but it gave it a bit of a inhuman quality, which is exactly what I'm looking for, so I'm glad that worked out. Some distortion with Saturn, of course, and tremolator, just giving it a little bit of extra interest in there. Just hear a little bit of it in there. And space modulator for a little bit of chorus at the end. Cracking. And then, so this is doing the same kind of thing as before. It's got all the same processing, except it's got snap heap on there as well, which is acting as an envelope follower. So if I head to the envelope 1, it is listening to the external source being fed into this channel, and then automating the gain based on it. So if I have a little play, this signal is actually coming from track 14, and it is modulating the envelope of this breath sound. And 14 is the main impacty sound of the big hits. Let's get rid of this. So this is driving the volume envelope of the breath sound above. Fabric, pretty happy with this one. This is me flapping around some towels and pajamas and stuff in front of a microphone. And if you plonk a lot of distortion on it, I've got 2 instances of Saturn, one with quite high drive, one with still quite high drive, and then this just to thicken it up a little bit. I think that sounds pretty fiery, considering it's just me waving a towel around. We've got these hits. We've had them. Cool. Some gunshots with some pitch envelope stuff going on them to give it a bit of rising movement. They might even be a little bit too long, but it gives it a little bit extra impact. This one, nothing's going on in here, it's muted at the end. Sizzle. This is some more light sizzly sounds that I got from Soundly and just layered on top where I thought we could do with it. There's not much interesting going on here. No effects. Maybe on the parent. It's just being compressed a little bit, that's all. And then towards the end I thought it was sounding a little bit dry. I could do with some extra fiery stuff, so I went back to Soundly, got myself a nice designed fire whoosh and popped that in. For the initial hit, it's got to be a big one. For the last two hits, they're quite sweeping, so I wanted them to sound a little bit more harsh, a little bit more scratchy. So I've got some sounds of some rocks that I recorded at Mount Fuji, actually, and just some brush brooming action, again from Soundly. Not doing much here, I'm just distorting it a little bit, getting rid of the low end, trying to make it sound a little bit harsh. Pro Q effect rack is, yeah, doing the same thing. Punishes even on, making it nice and harsh and high. Cool. And then I've got my punches. I've tried to accentuate the whooshes and the lead-ins to make them a bit longer. Now on their own they do sound a bit out of place, especially as you're not actually hitting anything, but it does help to give it a bit of weight, a bit of oomph, which is always nice. Time for some Foley. This is mostly me flapping around my towels again. Not that much interesting stuff going on here. I just picked out some nice bits of a long file that I recorded and matched them to the movement. Punches, this is some movement from Soundly again. And I've played with the play rate and pitch of these to give it that upwards motion again. For the most part. Walking, this is empty. Not sure why that's there. Steps. I decided to go just for a nice wooden floor kind of sound. I didn't want to spend too much time worrying about what kind of sound this floor would make, especially as you'd barely hear it over all the fire magic. That'll do. It's got some nice scuff kind of sounds in there as well as he scrapes his foot on the floor. And then fire, I kind of wanted to give this the impression that he was stepping on hot coals or something, like it's just in his body. So here I've got some sizzly, fiery burning sounds from Soundly and a recording of some hazelnuts that I got. I had a full tray of roasted hazelnuts and I plonked my microphone in the middle and got some really nice texture from it, so I put that in here as well. Nothing too exciting, but just a little bit of extra magical interest. Let's have a quick listen to these hazelnuts as well. Boom the width back up again. Very nice. Put that back. Alright then, so then I've got some MIDI stuff going on. This is all Spitfire Audio's Labs stuff, so it's a suite of free instruments which I highly recommend. And I just found some interesting patches. Recorded the MIDI. Here it is. That's even just one note. Bounced it out to stereo, and then messed around with the play rate, faded it in and out a little bit, and got some interesting sounds to accompany the spells being cast. Cool. There's not much interesting going on there. I suppose some more distortion. Yeah. A whale song patch. That was a good one. Filtering out some nonsense. I've got some more distortion, of course. Supermassive, of course. Frequency shifter. This is good for making things sound a little bit more unnatural. Although it's almost dry in this. Little altar boy, of course. I use this guy everywhere. And then tremolator, again. I was just chucking stuff on and seeing what I liked. And then down here for some ambience, this is just extra magical ambient textures, which I mostly took from a boom library of cinematic sounds and impacts and thuds and trailery kind of stuff. Let's have a listen to it. Alright, so for the impacts, I reversed the hits. Like this one here is a reversed hit. And I've got some pitch envelope modulation going on there, automation even. Same kind of thing with this. There's nothing too interesting, but it just helps to fill out the sound a little bit more when there's a moment of silence. Not much going on, but it helps to fill it out. I do like this one though. Sounds magical. So that's most of it. If we go down to the subfolder, I've only got one item actually being played by all of this, and let's have a quick listen to it. It's just a little bit of low frequency energy on the main hit. If we were to have a look at sub-split though, let's listen to this one. What I'm doing here is I'm receiving the low frequency energy, everything under 200 Hz from the punches folder up above. So we can see that here. Channels 3 and 4 from track 24 are coming in. Track 24, where are you? Here it is. So I've got a 3-band splitter, and everything that is under 200 Hz is being sent out low output left, low output right to channels 3 and 4, which is then being sent to the sub-split track. And the rest of it is coming through here as normal. Cool, and the reason I've split them out, just like how Marshall Mcgee said in his video, is just to keep the sub stuff as mono as possible. It helps keep it uncluttered and to control it a little bit more with, I suspect, some compression. Yes, drum shaper, keeping the sustain down. We don't want the low stuff to linger. And that's it. Once they get in here, I treat them with a little bit of reverb. I didn't mess around too much with this, but if we crank it up a little bit, see what it sounds like. So it's kind of small roomish sounding. I've used Valhalla Room for this. Not very long decay time, and the depth, I didn't want the sound to linger too much by having it with lots of late energy, so I kept it down here, low depth, lots of early reflections rather than late. So there we go, that's the whole lot. Listen to it back one more time. Cool, I'm pretty happy with that. So hopefully that was some kind of interesting, and feel free to nick any of the ideas of what I've done, if there's anything worth nicking, of course. So cheers, thanks for watching.